Hi guys, welcome back. Today's video is about comparing grad school in the US to grad school in Canada and the major differences you need to be aware of as international students. I'll also be sharing a list of funding and scholarship opportunities for masters and PhD in Canada. So make sure you watch this video till the end. So one thing I haven't mentioned a lot on this channel is that I also explored schools in Canada when I was applying to grad school and got into the University of Toronto, the Rotman School of Management. So I'll be sharing a bit of that experience in today's video and also talking about differences between application and everything you need to know about grad school in Canada versus the US. So let's just get started with this video. The major differences between grad school in Canada and grad school in the US is cost. So cost of living and tuition is significantly more expensive in the US than in Canada. But of course, this varies, by school, by city, province, course you're going for, the program you're going for. But overall, on average, it's more expensive to school and live in the US than it is in Canada. So that's one really important thing you need to consider. Another thing is work options while in school. So for both countries, you can work 20 hours as a student during school and full-time or 40 hours during breaks. So for this, I'll say no big difference. There might be a couple of differences between what kind of work you can do, but nothing major between no major differences between those two countries. So for this, I'll say they're about the same. So no big difference there, although I know that Canada has made a few changes in terms of like how many hours international students can work because of the pandemic. But overall, on a normal day, those two countries, you can work the same number of hours in the US as you can in Canada. Another thing is school rankings and quality of education. So for this, I think really honestly, the two countries have really great schools that offer really good education. But if you're really into rankings, the US has a lot more highly ranked schools than Canada does. So you can check this out by going on Google and just type in top 200 schools or something like that. You find a lot more US schools on those lists than you find Canadian schools. But I'll say for this, try to check those lists or rankings for your specific program of interest. Don't just check about like top schools. Maybe you should check top schools for the programs you're interested in, and I feel like that's better. But overall, US has more highly ranked schools than Canada does. Next thing is permanent residency, green card, immigration. So for this, Canada wins because it's a lot easier for you to apply for permanent residency in Canada once you graduate and work for a while than it is in the US. So this is one big difference between the two countries and something that I think you should consider if you're interested in immigration to any of these two countries. So on average in the US, a typical international student, once you graduate, you get on your OPT, and OPT, depending on whether or not you did a STEM degree, you could be on OPT for 3 years. Once you're on OPT for 3 years, then you get company sponsorship for your H-1B visa. Many people are on that for 3 years as well, making it 6 years before the company applies for a green card for you. And depending on your country of origin, this green card process could take even longer. So that's just something to have in mind, that it might take you 8 years or 10 years for some people from when you graduate to get your green card in the US versus Canada, where it's a lot easier. It's not like super easy, but it's definitely a lot easier. It's a faster process than in the US. So if this is something you're interested in, then you should know which country you're going to be applying to for grad school. Next thing is the grad school application process. So for this, I think it's the same online application. Submit your transcript, your essays or personal statements, your recommendation letter. So all those things, I think they are fairly the same, could vary a little depending on the schools in the US or schools in Canada you're applying to, but overall the same process. One thing I think you should check though is that if you're planning to do a PhD, in many schools in the US, you can do a PhD from your once you're done with your first degree. So basically, once you graduate college or university, you can do a PhD. A master's is not a requirement for many of the schools in the US, but in Canada, for many schools, a master's is a requirement, so you should that's something I think you should check with your school or do research about for those two countries. But for the US, many schools don't require. It's okay if you have a master's, but those schools don't require you to have a master's to apply for those PhD programs. So if you're considering a PhD, I think there might be some differences there, but overall, for the normal other application processes, I think the two countries have the same process basically. So another thing I know many of you care about is job opportunities in the two countries. For this, I think nobody really knows, but some things to have in mind is that the US is a much bigger economy, bigger job market. Many Fortune 500 companies have their headquarters or major operations in the US. So that's just something to have in mind. But does that mean that if you come to the US for grad school, you'd get a job? I don't think so. I know many international students that are still yet to get jobs, even before the pandemic. So that's just something to keep in mind. This one it's difficult to say, you know, but just know that bigger market, you know, that may not mean that you will get a job, but it's just something to have in mind. I'll say focus on maybe which country or which destination has a bigger market or job market or bigger opportunities for the kind of post-grad school jobs that you're interested in, if that makes sense to you. But overall, it's difficult to tell where you get a job, whether at the US or in Canada. So another major difference is scholarships and funding. So although it's more expensive for international students to study and live in the US just based off of the amount of tuition and living expenses they have to pay, the US has a lot more funding opportunities for international grad students. So the US, you have a lot more scholarships, a lot more fully funded programs, a lot of graduate assistantship opportunities. So if this is something that really matters to you, getting full funding, which I think you should care about, then there's a big difference between those two countries, because the US has a lot more funding opportunities. So if you're interested in grad school in Canada, I mentioned at the beginning that I'm sharing in this video a list of scholarships and funding opportunities for masters and PhD in Canada. So yes, that list is in the description box. Make sure you go click that link and check it out in the description box. As always, make sure you check the school's website for the most up-to-date information. So make sure you go to the description box and click that link. If you don't find it, let me know in the comment section. I'll direct you to it. So let me know in the comment section right now which of those two countries you're interested in. Let me know if you are interested in the US or in Canada, or maybe both, and share with me some of your big reasons for making that country your top choice. So let me know in the comment section right now. And if you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, you just have to do two things: like this video and subscribe to my channel, click the notification bell. Okay, that's three things, and make sure you do all those, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.